Hi everyone, it's Anthony. Today, my friends, is St. Patrick's Day, a day where people get together. They have a parade, they dress all in green, and drink the night away in the spirit of everything Irish. If you're a part of the Catholic Church, you probably heard stories about how St. Patrick banished all of the snakes from Ireland and other stories as well. As a young Catholic boy, I certainly heard them too. And when I went to college, I had got my bachelor's degree in theater, and I worked a lot with Irish dramatic literature. So the story of Ireland is very, very personal for me. I really, really find it interesting. But what if I told you that St. Patrick wasn't even Irish? What if I told you that he wasn't even a saint? Oh boy, here, everyone, is the real story behind St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland. Now, before I go too deep into the history of St. Patrick, I need you to understand that most of Patrick's life isn't really well documented. And accounts of his life come from really biased sources, like Patrick's own writing, people that he converted, their writings, and the writings of people who kind of hated Patrick. Here we go. In the 5th century, Patrick was born in Britain, which at the time was a part of the Roman Empire. He was the agnostic son of a deacon and the grandson of a priest. This was back when priests getting married wasn't a huge deal in the Catholic Church. The story goes that when Patrick was a teenager, about 14 or 16, he was kidnapped by Irish raiders on the English shore. He was then sold into slavery on an Irish farm where he was forced to shepherd livestock, which gave him a lot of time to develop his relationship with God. 6 years into his enslavement, he received a vision that his opportunity to escape would be close at hand. He ran as fast as he could and found a ship that would take him back to England. However, when that ship arrived on Patrick's native shores of England, no one exactly knew where they were. They traveled for about 28 days without finding any human life, and starving from the long trip, the druid folk that were with him on the boat asked him to pray to his god to find them food. And when he did pray, a huge pack of wild boar appeared, and they ate like kings. Not long after this, Patrick was again kidnapped a second time by Irish raiders, but similarly, he escaped only after a few months. It wasn't until Patrick was in his early 20s that he made his way back to his family, where he then started becoming more and more familiar with Catholic doctrine and beliefs of the church. He was made a priest after some time, and one night he received another vision, this time of St. Vitricius, holding a bunch of letters. Vitricius handed him a letter with the heading, "The Voice of the Irish," that read, "We appeal to you, holy servant boy, come and walk among us." Patrick then made his way to Ireland, where he started to convert Irish Druid peoples. Now, St. Patrick wasn't the first person to bring Christianity to the island of Ireland, but he definitely does seem like the most popular. There are stories of Patrick meeting with Irish kings and giving them gifts to allow him to freely roam their land, spreading his religion. Patrick met with a lot of poor folk and slaves who were looking for any kind of reprieve from their own suffering. Patrick spoke with a lot of women, especially those of higher wealth. They would offer him gifts as a guest to their land, and he would persuade them to convert and even become nuns. There's a story that Patrick attacked an Irish king who had sold several converted Catholic people into slavery. Patrick, in his rage, decided to excommunicate the king's entire army. The Catholic Church became quite wary of Patrick at this point, and he was put on trial before the church for supposedly keeping the gifts given to him by the wealthy women and getting paid for baptisms and ordaining priests, and probably more that include excommunicating a mass amount of people. The details of this trial are up to speculation, mostly based on limited amounts of historical documents. Patrick denied all the charges against him. The stories about St. Patrick do not stop there. Now, this is where we get to that most famous tale of St. Patrick, him removing and banishing all the snakes from Ireland. This story has widely been debunked by Nigel Monaghan, keeper of natural history at the National Museum of Ireland in Dublin, who said that there aren't any fossil records of any reptiles in Ireland from that time frame. Geological scientists have also declared that due to Ireland's climate region, reptiles would not have migrated to such a cold, wet place, and that the waters surrounding the island wouldn't make for suitable living and transport. The snakes, most scholars agree, are probably a metaphor for the Irish Druid people who Patrick converted. The snake is said to be a revered symbol in Druid culture, I believe, due to its cyclical nature. There are a lot of records that state that the conversion of the Irish Druid folk to Catholicism was violent, but there are a few inferences that Patrick had a bit of rage to him. Mentions of Patrick smashing Druid idols during their ceremonies, Druid gods slaughtering Irish Druid kings during their devotions as Patrick smashed the idols, and fighting Druid fire festivals with his own fire that the Druids, and I quote, with all their magical powers, couldn't put out. But like I said, there aren't a lot of very detailed sources about what really happened. Some say he was completely peaceful. Others, less so, but others say he was violent in some of his conversions. Another story about a very popular story from Patrick's time in Ireland is about the imagery of the shamrock. Its 3 leaves were a popular image in Druid culture since they had a lot of beliefs in groups of 3, symbolizing things like birth, life, death, or mind, body, spirit. When converting, Patrick would often use the shamrock as a way to relate to the Druid peoples by explaining the Christian ideology of the Holy Trinity. It's said that Patrick remained in Ireland until his passing. It's after a renowned Catholic figure has passed away that it can be seen as a good time to canonize them as a saint for their miracles performed in life or if they died as a martyr. Back in the 5th century, though, the Catholic Church didn't have a very strong system of canonizing saints at the large church level. It was really done mainly by locals in the region, specifically in this case, local bishops that he ordained himself. So technically, St. Patrick is only a saint by name, and that leads a lot of people to not really view Patrick as a saint by Catholic standards. While not having a complete historical record of St. Patrick is very frustrating to say the least, he has become widely known as the patron saint of Ireland. And while today, St. Patrick's Day is no longer really a celebration of the spreading of Catholicism and its ideals to Ireland, it is now considered more of a celebration of Irish culture in its whole, mixing together pre-Christian and Christian ideologies. While still important in Ireland, a lot of the celebrations that we see today actually have their roots back in the United States, going back as far as 1762, when a bunch of Irish soldiers working for the British before the War of Independence went to bars to celebrate. They would travel together to bars to celebrate St. Patrick. And these celebrations became even more popular in the 1840s after the Irish potato famine, when a bunch of Irish immigrants decided to flock to the United States, specifically in New York and Boston. They are the ones that brought a lot of that symbolism of like the shamrock and the green of the shamrock and a lot of the symbolism of St. Patrick to the United States, which kind of exploded into the celebrations that we see today. I hope you learned a little bit more about St. Patrick and why certain people celebrate today. Thank you for joining me. I can't wait to see you all very soon. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to get more videos just like this from the Noonan Carnegie Library. I can't wait to see you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Bye.